Hi, I'm Christian, and this is my update for September-ish of 2020. Let's get started. Here are the areas we're going to talk about today. I'm going to lead with my adventures because that's the most fun. We're going to talk about projects. We're going to talk about gains in productivity and health that I've made, the social dating problems and solutions that I'm coming up with, and then we're going to talk about what is up next month. So first of all, let's talk about adventures. This was a very exciting month. I learned how to ride a motorcycle, which was made much easier by being much more familiar with driving a manual and having a manual transmission. So that was a blast. I learned it in like a few hours. I was so skeptical of paddleboarding as a thing to do. It looked like a less fun version of surfing, and I tried it for the first time while I was still in Ohio with Luke and Tori, being very skeptical, thinking like it would probably be much more fun to just kayak. I'm sold on paddleboarding. Paddleboarding is great. Here's my pitch for it if you've never been paddleboarding. A kayak is cool because you're on the water and you can navigate on the water, but you're stuck in the same position, and then your legs get tired and your butt gets sore. But on a paddleboard, you can just change positions if you get tired. You can stand up, or you can lie down, or you can go on your knees, or you can sit down. So paddleboarding is great. I'm sold on paddleboarding. Here was a cool thing I did while I was paddleboarding with my friend Luke, going above this bridge and then running across the top of the bridge while the paddleboard's going underneath. I saw Luke do it before me, so I cheated a little bit, but I did it on my first try. I'm pretty happy about that. What else? Oh, went back to this place in Cleveland called Ray's Indoor Mountain Biking, which is just the most fun place in the world. It's all these different jumps and obstacles and this thing called a pump track that I'd never heard of, where it's like a ride. I think they're about to do it here. But you can gain momentum by pumping down the bicycle. Yeah, it's this. You pump down on the bike and you can gain momentum. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I had a rule for myself of after 3 close calls I had to leave because last time I totally scraped up my back and fell. And so that's what I did after the 3rd time. I was only mildly hurt. I had this huge bruise on my thigh, but I was fine. I feel like of all the places I could become quadriplegic, I think that's the most likely. Oh, after my talking about in last month's update about wanting to fly and being interested in getting a private pilot's license, I had several friends reach out to me saying, like, oh, I have a private pilot's license. Got to talk to them, learn much more about it. One of them, Rafi, thank you so much, invited me in her plane. I got to ride around for like 2 hours in this little Cessna. Oh, it was so much fun. Oh my gosh, it's just like a little car, but you could go up in the air. Oh, it was amazing. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. That was incredible. Okay, transitioning to projects. Most of my energy in projects for this last month was put into this project that, frustratingly, I cannot tell you a lot about in detail because it's a magic trick. It would sort of ruin the point of the trick if I told you more about it. But it's a trick for my friend Trigg, who's this very progressive sort of technological magician and does a lot of tricks involving phones and computers and has a virtual show that he's developing that goes entirely over Zoom. So it's in early development, but if this is something you're interested in of like throwing a virtual magic show party, you can reach out to my friend Trigg at triggmagic.com. One of the tricks in the show was developed by me, and I'm very proud of it. And as of yesterday, it's done. And so now it's in a state where the trick does not depend on me anymore. I've built a machine that can do the trick without me needing to do anything. So I'm happy to have that time back. We'll talk about what I'm going to do with it later. This was just a quick project that I've done. I've seen several people lamenting over Twitter about time zones, especially in this Zoom plague times where you have to schedule calls with people in different time zones. One of the solutions to this that I have been very interested in is this idea of internet time that was sort of this marketing stunt by the Swatch watch company, I think in the late 90s. The idea is it's the same time everywhere on Earth and there's no daylight savings time. So right now, as I'm recording this, it's 892 beats and it's the same time everywhere in the world. And a beat is 1/1000th of a day. You just take the 24 hours and you cut it up into 1,000 pieces, and that's one beat. So we are 892 beats through the day of October 19th. I am intrigued in this as a potential solution for time zones. I hate time zones. I'm so endlessly frustrated that I still can't do time zone math as a 29-year-old college-educated man. It makes me very upset. And this is something that I'm interested in as to play around with. So in the Twitter thread, someone posed the question like, what would have to be true for this system to get adopted? One of the steps, I think, would be an easy way to translate different times. So right now, if you go to beats.wiki/a time in beats, so let's say like 2:50, it will tell you that 2:50 in beats is 12 a.m. local time. I'm going to do 666. That's 9:59 a.m. In local beats. So the idea is like if you wanted to start using the system yourself, you could invite people to your event and say, oh yes, this event will be held at beats.wiki/500. And that'll work no matter what time zone people are in. I'd love to talk more about this. There's downsides of the system, like you don't necessarily know what the working hours of a place are, but I like the trade-offs of the system more. It's just like a fun project. All right, productivity. I had a ton of productivity gains. Personally, with stuff, I love Marie Kondo's philosophy. And it's amazing to me just like how easy it is to accumulate stuff. It's so much harder to get rid of stuff than it is to accumulate it. I like to consider myself minimalist, and even while traveling and having just like one storage unit of stuff back in Dallas, I have so much stuff. I still have too many things. So and it's gotten kind of difficult with the boxes. So I went through this whole purge of everything I had. I separated it into these 5 categories. I'll have a video about this later. And then put the categories in a bin, and then went through each bin and organized it and got rid of the stuff I didn't need. So I'm feeling very good about the amount of stuff that I have right now. And because they're in these bins, it's very conducive to like, I have this archive of stuff that's in a storage unit. And then for every long-term Airbnb that I'm living in, I just take like the smaller collection of things that I want for the next month. So, like my suit lives in long-term storage, and my suit is in the clothing bin. And so, as is winter clothes and like skiing clothes. So if I sort of have like a personal store of things that I need to go and get. But at any given time, the things that I have in my living space is just the minimal set that I need for whatever I'm doing. So that was fun. I feel like I don't have to think about stuff again. This is fun. I started, this is an idea that I got from several different pieces, but I feel like I'm really nailing my daily schedule. And I've been struggling with thinking about things on the scale of like a week or a month. And so my latest experiment with that is every day I write down the things I want to do for the next 8 days of like what I want my main focus to be. And then I rewrite them every day. And I feel like this has been a really good intermediate step of translating monthly goals into daily goals. If I'm forcing myself every day, and it just takes, 3 minutes, I think, to write those goals. If I'm being very intentional about carving out space every day to be thinking about things on a longer term, I feel like it keeps me more on track. So I've enjoyed doing that. One of the things helping me stay on track every day is an experiment that I started, I think, 8 months ago after Laura Vanderkam's talk at the World Domination Summit. She has a book called 168 Hours that is the number of hours in a week. And it talks about the benefit of doing a time audit on yourself. And her suggestion is you keep track in 15-minute increments of everything you do for a week for 168 hours. And then at the end of the week, you can look back and see, where did I spend time that I didn't want to be spending it? So for me, YouTube is a thing that I consistently struggle with, of like, when I'm feeling stuck on a project or don't know what to do next, my default thing to do is just to go on YouTube, because there's always, I don't have to make any decisions. It just sort of like sucks me in, and then I'm gone for several hours. So I started doing that project the way that she recommended, just like with a spreadsheet, and loved it because I had data now. I could see, oh my God, I spent 9 hours last week on YouTube. That is too many. And so I, through different system refinements, have built it out into this app that I love. And you can see here today on like email, I spent 27 minutes. On YouTube, I've spent 47 minutes, which is too much, but it's okay. I have the information now. Right now, I'm recording my monthly recap video. I've been doing this for 12 minutes and 48 seconds. And if I do something else, talking about time tracker. And I can do things like eating 4 minutes ago, and that'll automatically slot in there. I love this. I have all these little automations and things that I've done with this, of like, there are buttons all over in my space so that when I'm walking out the door, I just push a button and it adds a new thing to this time tracker. I love it. And it's hit its stride of helping me have better management of my time and be able to look retrospectively and then set an intention for the future. This has been great. Related to that, this is kind of annoying of having to go to midnight.app. And there were a few apps like my to-do list, I use Things, and like Midnight, and like this fantastic calendar that's all keyboard shortcut driven, where I kept jumping to it, and it was just a little too much friction to do like, okay, command space, and then Things, and then enter. Because I'm going to do that, probably 20 times a day. So I used this tool called Hammerspoon, this guy right up here, to add keyboard shortcuts for all of the apps that I have open all the time. So that's like VinCal, that's my time tracker, Midnight, that's Things. And so to do that, I just do, for my time tracker, it's Option space, and then boom, it's right there. For my calendar, it's Control space, boom, it's right there. And then for Things, it's Control Option space. And I love it. It's shaving off precious seconds of jumping through apps, and it's fantastic. You may notice in my time tracker, I have nap in 27 minutes. I'm very excited for this nap. That's a new thing I'm trying that has, I feel like, drastically improved the consistency of the positive qualia of my days. And I got this from this huge article that was linked on Hacker News that's just all of this research on sleep. And I think, I'm unclear on where this data came from. I think it might just be one guy taking data on himself. But it talks about how humans are probably naturally biphasic, meaning they have 2 periods of sleep. And that was also something that I read in Dr. Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. And I have never been good at napping, and it's a skill I've wanted to cultivate. So it recommends napping 7 hours after you wake up. So every morning after I wake up and I go through my routine and I do my thing of setting my schedule for the day, I will schedule a nap for myself 7 hours after I woke up. And I know exactly when I woke up because I have all these buttons. I'm like, as soon as I wake up, there's a button by my bed of exactly when I wake up. And it's been great. I feel like I have twice as many days now, and it sort of makes sense physiologically if you need to process through your adenosine. I'm loving it. Highly recommend trying out napping if you haven't done it before. Sleep is just such a positive multiplier. Someone asked me recently, one of my friends staying at this Airbnb, what the most impactful habit that I had installed recently was. It's sleep. Sleep impacts everything else that you do. If you're sleeping poorly, there's no bigger problem in your life. Drop whatever you're doing. Fix your sleep. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. I used to suffer from sleep onset insomnia. It would take me 2.5 hours to fall asleep. It wouldn't be unusual. Anything above 25 minutes is considered insomnia. I fixed it. I'm a different person. It's incredible. Okay, back to productivity. I'm doing grocery deliveries now. It's great. I don't know that I'll ever go in a grocery store from necessity again. I think they're still cool to find new things, but Amazon Prime is so good. Next section, social and dating. I have moved from Cleveland, Ohio, where I was for the summer, back to Dallas. Still trying to figure out where I want to live, exploring different places. I have the biggest in-person network in Dallas than I do of any specific geography, so being here is an experiment in reconnecting with all of my Dallas friends and seeing what my life will be like here. I don't like Dallas in the summer, and I'm still trying to figure out, do I have a house in Dallas, and then I travel for the summer and I rent out the house? It's still kind of up in the air. I want to also try out like Colorado and California because I also have friends there, and I think I may like the social climate. That's not quite what I'm trying to say. I like the culture. It's like more outdoorsy. There's better nature. I'm interested in trying out places that aren't Texas for living. Cleveland was such a fun experiment this summer. Along the lines of socially, I got recommended twice in the same week this book called Big Friendship. That's a book making the argument that friendship is at the same time the most important and the most neglected type of relationship in most people's lives, compared with like family or romantic relationships. And in the book, the two women who co-wrote the book hilariously talk about how they went to couples therapy for their friendship, and they had to like find a therapist who would do this. But their argument is like, this is serious, this is important. There are friendships that are more impactful and more long-term than romantic relationships or family relationships, you get to choose who your friends are. And so, but there's not this social tie of like, if someone's family, you're not going to get rid of them. They're still your family. And if someone is your romantic partner or your spouse, you're sort of bound to them legally and through other ties. But with friendship, it's very easy to sort of just like drift apart. And so this book is about tactics and ways that the authors have taken their friendship very seriously and the benefits that that's given them. It was great and sort of like reaffirmed this idea that I've gotten from my other dating research. I'm in the middle of like 12 books on dating right now of like, don't date, make friends, and focus on building your network. So I love that. I think this was perfectly in line with that. Along those lines, I've been hosting weekly game nights with this very popular game right now called Among Us. It's sort of like a virtual mafia or not Secret Hitler. One person is the imposter, and you're all trying to figure out who it is before they kill all of you. And it's so much fun. If you'd like to play, hit me up. I host this game weekly, Saturdays at 6 p.m. Central, and also experimenting with different games. But it's been great. I've hosted like 3 of them so far. Everyone has been amazing. I think hosting parties has been a thing that I have historically felt anxious about, that I feel like I can do very well now. It's another thing in this category of like sleep and insomnia. It's another category in this thing of like, I feel like I was naturally very bad at it and then put some focused attention into it. Now I feel like I'm very good at it. So that's fun. Also, this game is just great. It's social deception, I think, is one of the most fun types of games that you can play, unlike chess, which is sort of mechanistic, or like Sudoku, which is just entirely algorithm based. Among Us is very much about how well can you lie to your friends, like similar to poker. And so in that way, and also like how can you detect when other people are lying? So in that way, it sort of like it's a very good way to practice an actual skill that you need in life. Along those lines, there's another game that I've been playing with the owner of this Airbnb, who owns, or I think he owns this house, and then he manages 5 properties in Dubai, and is all about real estate and building up a passive income, and loves this game called Cashflow, which is made by the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And the idea of this game is that it's sort of like Monopoly, if Monopoly was teaching you actual tangible skills with the direct goal of gaining financial independence as quickly as possible. And that the owner of this Airbnb says that he's taught this game to 1,000 people. He hosts local meetups. And so I started playing it. I played it for the second time 2 nights ago. And it's a blast. I think I'm going to add this to my board game roster. And it's so interesting to see how people play it, because it's set up in such a way that it invites you to use your real world strategy of money. So one of the characters in the game, you can be a doctor, and you get an income, and you start with debt and a mortgage and student loans, and you get to choose what to do with your money. And then these opportunities pop up of like, oh, there's a condo that you can rent out. Do you want to buy the condo? And first approaching this game, I sort of had the mentality of like, oh, if I was in that situation, like, no, I would want to pay off my debt first. And the game lets you simulate what happens when you take those different strategies, and also see the strategies the other players are taking and where it gets them financially after a few rounds. So that's been a fun game. I love games that teach you something about life and teach you something about yourself. It's a lot of fun. For this next month, and you can see these goals written in my notebook to the left of where I have my daily goals, I'm so happy that I finished the trick for Trigg that was taking up more bandwidth than I would have liked, and I'm very happy that I did it. It was a very fun and fulfilling project, and got me exposed to a lot of just crazy technologies that I would not have ever had a reason to use, that I feel much more comfortable with now. So for this next month, I'm going to be focused primarily on File Inbox, my main software as a service. The next project with File Inbox is bolting on some serverless stuff onto it. Actually, using a lot of the things that I was practicing with Trigg's project. I have this tiny app called Textbooks Please that I made in college that it's been broken for like the last year and a half, I think, and it would take me about 2 days to get it back up. And playing this game, Cashflow, has me thinking much more about like, web projects and software as a service is sort of like the best avenue towards cash flow that I have available. And if I invest, 2 or 3 days in bringing Textbooks Please back up, that would be another source of cash flow. So let's do it. So I'm gonna bring that back up, and then continuing to develop my video editor. This video was edited with my video editor, and it's still very clunky. And it's not quite what I want it to be yet, but every time I use it and go through it, I improve it a little bit. And so I think after going through, I don't know, like 10 iterations, I feel like it'll be very close to this platonic ideal of the video editor that I have. That's it. I hope you had a good September-ish, and I'll see you next month.